One thing I always enjoy about when I see y'all is I see y'all together all the time. It's rare that I see y'all separate, but that perfectly coincides with, of course, you guys do the Columbus Marathon, and you have an established partnership with the Nationwide Children's Hospital. And you guys, I know last year, I believe I saw it was 15 million that you raised from that one. And it's always been an intentional partnership that you guys have, not only with y'all's two relationship, but with the other aspects that you carry throughout the entire Columbus community. So my word choice that reminds me of y'all is partner. So
knew that was coming.
See, you know, right? This always lines up perfectly. But my question to you guys, and feel free to both answer however you see fit, is what does that word mean to you? And how does that correlate in your relationship with running and walking?
Out of respect, I'll have you go first.
Wow, what a
Sets it up.
kind and generous partner you are. Oh my gosh.
Also, a way to get out of it, answering it first.
You know, no, so I will kick it off by saying, you know, you're married. A lot of people are married. You don't have to be married to have a long-term partnership. So let's take that burr out of that. We remark a lot with each other about, man, we just did this yesterday. We have grown up so much. And so pulling the veil off of something I talked about when we came in here, which is, yeah, we have a little cachet in the running community, but at home we're just people. Okay, so we get a new washer yesterday. Both of us cannot wait to start getting laundry done, especially because we had made the disgusting discovery that we hadn't actually been cleaning our clothes for a few months. And Darris is very efficient. He's a very efficient person. And so he throws in a comforter, and then he throws in some towels, and then he starts dumping in some dirty socks. And I'm sitting there and I'm saying, let it go, let it go, let it go, let it go. And then he has to mention, oh my gosh, I don't know the last time these socks actually got clean. And I'm like, all right, get the socks out. And it becomes a brief marital thing where we recognize that 20 years ago, that would have been an argument that lasted an entire day. And now we're just like, okay, this takes me to running and walking. 20 years ago when I started, for me, it was all about getting better, which meant getting faster, which meant moving up the leaderboards. And as I'm growing older as a person, as a human being, as a runner, I'm learning how to let things go. That I can still be in love with running and the running journey and what I'm doing out there, even though I'm not going to be on many podiums again, even though I'm not going to put up times that I used to put up. That doesn't change the relationship that I have and the love that I have with running and the multitude of gifts that it gives me. So being in partnership with a person as well as being in partnership with this running and walking and movement activity that I love means constantly learning how to let things go.
You know, to me, the word partner is having someone who's got your back. I feel so, I say this to Star all the time. I just, you know, we have our own little language, our little words, like a lot of that's even on my phone. She sent me an email a long time ago, and I just keep it. Do you know? It's just, she'll be upstairs sometimes, because her office is upstairs, mine's downstairs, and it's also the dining room table. We're not an elaborate setup here.
It's not an elaborate operation.
And I'll call up or she'll call down. Do you know? And it's just, do I know how much I'm loved, how I'm respected, vice versa. And for me, that partnership is just that comfort of just knowing that somebody, no matter what kind of day I'm having, what kind of things I'm involved in, you know, not breaking any laws, not doing things that are bad that would cause her to not have my back. But generally, it's just it's that feeling of comfort and peace that I've really found through partnership, and it kind of goes that way with running too. You know, my struggle with running had been Initially, I didn't really like it because of my brother, who was very talented. He ran in junior high, in high school, in college, scholarship and all that. And I didn't discover running until after college. I played high school football and things like that. But then once I wanted to become a runner. I wasn't going to be of that caliber, but yet I did okay. But my point was I really fought it and struggled against it because it wasn't a fun partnership. It's a lot of work to as you know, when you're trying to accomplish your time goals and that we all have, whether you're experienced or first timer, whether you're an elite or someone who's just out there for fun, time is still important to us. And I struggled so much because it wasn't coming to me like I wanted it to. And even on those days it came to me how I wanted it to, you always want to get better. Mm-hmm. But that partnership has really treated me well, not just as a career, because I fell into it very weirdly in terms of different things I've done in my life and how this all worked out. But it's that partnership that I have with running and exercising to make myself healthy, make myself mentally wealthy, make myself deal with challenges. It's a great way to let off steam. It's a great way to find answers. And also while doing yourself a favor of physically improving yourself. So it's been a very good partnership in that way. I tell people, you never will go home and say, I wish I hadn't done that run. That's a pretty good partner. You know, if they're not going to let you down, no matter what. So that's kind of the way the two come together for me.
I like that because I was talking to a friend of mine on a recent podcast episode, and she was mentioning how there's so many parallels to our daily lives that we can tie to running. Running's not its own isolated thing. And I remember the first time I ran in Chicago, my friend Daniel Mata mentioned establishing a healthy relationship with running is key. And it is a partnership with that. So my next question for you guys would be, how do you incorporate that? Like, how do you establish that healthy relationship to be, because at the end of the day, we're spending, a lot of us, if we're doing marathon training or sometimes our first mile, this could take weeks to months to build up to that. So how would you guys recommend establishing that healthy relationship with running and walking?
It's funny, I kept track one time, not just keeping track of miles, but keeping track of hours. And the maximum hours I spent in a week running this is not back in the early days, but it was like 15 hours a week I had gotten up to, which is a lot of time to be running. That was a lot of miles, but that's also a lot of time committed to it. And that could be unhealthy. I've definitely had an unhealthy relationship with running. Being unhappy with my times, being unhappy with my distance. Did I get a run in today? Did it go as well? But I've certainly, getting older and getting wiser, I've learned to find the joy in it, find the enjoyment in it. Now, it doesn't still mean, this morning I went out and I just didn't want to go. But I went anyway, and I came home saying to myself, I never come home regretting a run. But it took time to find that balance where it was still something I enjoyed and I didn't feel like I was failing. And that was, for a long time, my running I viewed as failings as opposed to the accomplishments. Even now when I'll do sign up for, let's say I sign up for an ultra marathon. Let's say it's a 50K, or just use a marathon, a number that people can identify with, 26 miles. And if I had dropped out at 20 miles, I would be mad that I didn't complete the marathon because that's what I signed up for. But I could also look at it the other way, that I completed 20 miles, that's a great accomplishment. And maybe I got sick, maybe I was, injured, whatever. But it took some time to allow myself to not be so angry about it.
So I've been listening and also reflecting on my own thoughts on this. And I keep getting taken back to one of the first modern running philosophers. His name was George Sheehan. He was a medical doctor. And, back in the 1900s when Darris and I started this whole thing. And when Runner's World was delivered to your mailbox every month,
Wow.
he was, stop it, Chris. He was actually often featured. And one of his most famous quotes that I remind myself and others of to this day was, "We are all an experiment of one." And where that's actually become most profound to me in my own running and in the mentorship that I give to particularly younger female runners is that we are all an experiment of one, but we are conducting that experiment within a community of people who are going to be faster than us or who are going to have more experience than us, sometimes who are going to have more money or access or opportunity than others. Something on that note that I've long been interested in is developing scholarships for underprivileged, at-risk individuals who are great runners who don't have access and opportunity to races and the race experience. Going backwards. So we're all this experiment of one. So I have my own partnership with my body, and I actually do a lot of mindfulness work, meditation, and prayer because I'm a traditionally religious person. And for a long time, my training and my running was about beating my body into submission. This is the time that you need to run, and to run that time, these are the workouts you need to do. And it's not about how they feel or whether or not you can tolerate them or you end up throwing up at the end of them. To do X, you need to do Y. And guess what? In your late 20s and your early 30s, you can get away with some beating your body into submission. But then, and I luckily managed all that without getting injured. But then over time, what you realize is I'm no longer enjoying the thing that I fell in love with. It's no longer making me a better version of myself. It's this unattainable thing that I keep chasing. The cup is never going to be full because you break 4 hours, and then the qualifying time for women was 3:40. So then you needed your qualifying time for Boston, and then you might as well get under 3:30 because that was 8-minute miles, which meant the next goal was 3:20, and on and on and on. And yet our bodies all have this automatic stop valve, which is why we're all an experiment of one. And that comes down to genetics and muscle fiber and a whole bunch of stuff that I'm not intelligent enough to speak on. And that's where I developed my relationship with rest and with recovery. And I turned rest and recovery not only into part of my training, but as a way of honoring and thanking my body for what it does allow me to do. To the point that now, yes, I run year round, but I actually make a point to take a month, a straight month, an entire month off every single year. I do it during the summer because there's more stuff to do in the summer. In the winter, there's not a lot to do. Force yourself out the door.
Yeah.
But I do it in the summer. And if I feel like running, I go for a run. And I run until I'm done, and maybe I walk home, but I take the training plans and the pressure and all of that off myself, and I say, body, you've been working really hard. Thank you so much. Let's just let you have some rest. And I come back invigorated and missing the running and back in love with it and ready to attack a distance again. So that's kind of been the development of my partnership, and also remembering even during particularly ultras that I still do, I'll get to mile 25 and I'll be like, thanks legs, good job. Got another, and then I get to 50, I'm like, you're doing really good, body. And I say that not just to myself, but I literally will say it to my body, you're doing really good, body. Thank you for doing this for me. So.
You know, one thing I wanted to add is my relationship and my partnership with running. Actually, I changed it. During COVID, I started adopting walking. Mm-hmm. My partnership, my relationship is with distance. And I love walking. During COVID, we didn't hold the Columbus Marathon, but on that day, we went up to Antrim Lake and went for 12 hours. Star was gonna run for 12 hours around the lake, and I was gonna walk. And I walked for over 50 miles. She did 67 running, and I loved the walking. And now, 2 years ago, I walked a 100-miler because I wanted to see if it was possible. And I made it within the cutoffs. And my point is, I'm the only person that I know that aspires to be this do those kind of things. I'm not competing against anybody, is what I mean. I'm just doing this. If other people are walking, great, I love it. But I'm also not trying to compete with you. But I found a new way to really enjoy my relationship with distance by walking and walking seriously, but at the same time without the pressure. It's so fun to leave the house and not feel any pressure, because I know I can walk. And I would recommend to people, don't think about it as running. Put it into time. Put it into relationship with exercising time. So if you're going to walk, go for, if you can build up to a 1 hour or 2 hour walk, don't worry how far you went as much as what you got out of it during that time. The peacefulness, the clarity, and the exercise you're going to get ultimately. But because running you can turn it into a negative challenge against yourself. And that's something that people, again, I'm not saying it's not wonderful to go for PRs and that, but it also sometimes can be, you can misuse it and you end up kind of being mad at yourself for reasons that shouldn't exist.
Totally agree with that.
Like, spending some time on this question, that's kind of taking me back to, we are incredibly blessed, #blessed, whatever you want to do. But I mean, in that we both have had success at distance running, and we are in a marriage where we work together, we live together, we play together, and we do this running thing together. But one of my priests once said that she finds in couples that have these really long-term marriages, anytime she said you get past that 20, 30-year mark, she's like, it's not one marriage. It's a series of marriages within the marriage, because you are growing and evolving. And the most committed marriages, what happen is you are still in love with the core of that person, and you are committed to staying with them through those changes and those growth moments and those steps forward and those steps back. The same thing is true of running, right? Who I am as a runner has changed multiple times over the 30 years that I've been running. I've been a fast marathoner. I've been a podium ultra runner. I've been an injured runner. I've been a struggling runner going through a major slump. Now I'm kind of coming back out of that slump, which was age-related. But what a gift too, that because of our age difference and everything else, I had seen Darris go through this, and I had that reassurance in him from him talking to me and from having witnessed him that, like, yeah, you are now at that, but we're not done. Neither one of us is done. But, oh yeah, this is another evolution, and it's okay. And you're not gonna lose your love of it. It might take you some time to figure out what it looks like now, but you're going to come out on the other side of this, and it's going to be positive, and you're gonna keep doing what you love, even though how you love it and what that means is gonna look a little different. And I would hope that's what our marriage has been to you. It certainly has to me. You look a little different, but I still think you're pretty cool.
And that's why I picked that word for you, because a lot of us know you for, again, partnerships. Again, you guys run the Columbus Marathon. You have very intentional partnerships in the community itself, running with or working with different run clubs, different run organizations, Run Columbus. You've done stuff with Columbus Running Company. You guys are everywhere. And that's a good thing. Like, of course, we see you guys together, but you guys have been in this space for a long time. And you know how sometimes, I know in church, we're like, well, you all up in my sermon. You definitely hit one of my points that I had came in mind. Is just relationships and partnerships change over time. And that's the beauty of learning to be able to adapt to that. And running and walking is so crucial to that. You talked about the time you spent with that. That's a lot of intimate time with one aspect. It doesn't always have to be a tangible person. So even though I'm glad you said it earlier, partnership is not you have to have a partner. No, it's running can be our companion, our support system, our savior, our as you mentioned, it could be a bad thing. It could be that partner that we beef with time to time. I mean, it is what it is, but you have to, I love that you guys mentioned establishing those changes and evolving as part of that, because I think a lot of us, when we sometimes start, we go for the grind, we beat up our bodies, we try to push as hard as we can without really taking a step back and asking ourselves, what is running giving to me? What does this partnership look like long term? How am I going to sustain this partnership in a healthy manner for both my mental and physical aspect for that? And that's why I thought that that word was perfect for you guys, the double entendre, so to speak, because again, we are so thankful for y'all's presence in the community. I say that a lot. I mean, I know I'm not the only one who says that, but it's because of not only y'all's investment into the community, but y'all's depth of knowledge about running in general. There's so much experience between the two. And I remember your quote that you said that at Run, I think it was Run Columbus, where if you go out for a run, even if you don't want to, you never come back and say, I regret it. I still take that with me to this day. And it's just dropping those nuggets, which helped improve my relationship and my partnership with running. So with all of that said, I, of course, thank you guys so much.
Oh,
I really
goodness.
do. Like this, I so appreciate and admire you too.
Oh my
And
gosh.
I have to ask you guys my favorite question. This is an easy one for y'all though. And this is, I love everyone's perspective on this. You have a new runner or walker, and we've given them nuggets throughout this whole conversation, but a new runner or walker that comes into the space has no idea how to navigate. What is one piece of advice or one tip you would give them as they start this journey?
You know, I actually have it top of mind because of something that's going on with our assistant race director's daughter right now. And it humbles and honors me that so many people say, you guys are the marathon, you guys put it on. But there is this woman named Carissa Fee, and she is the assistant race director. And Darris actually met her, gosh, it was it
2005.
2005. So, I mean, she goes back almost to when we met, and she was interning for him at his marketing job when he worked for AD Farrow. And they formed a partnership, a working relationship. And when the opportunity came for him to hire someone, eventually he hired her at AD Farrow and she stayed there, but when the opportunity came with the marathon to hire his own assistant race director, he said, I know exactly who this should be. And she has skills and knowledge that make her better for that role than me. So while I live in this athlete relations director role, which is coordinating elite athletes, handling registration, doing the hotel contracts, like I touch a lot of pieces. But there's another partnership that really goes unseen a lot in the marathon. And so I want to hold that up for people listening to this to see that it's Darris and Star, yes, but it's also Darris and Carissa. Carissa's the ones in the meetings with the police when we're trying to figure out if we're going to cancel because of rain. It's not Star. She's holding down a different fort, but there is this other partnership that is a huge part of this race. But her daughter is struggling with some things in running right now that I won't bring up because we're on a podcast. But I was working on some words of encouragement for her, and they're applicable to me and where I'm at right now. And it was, running to be fast and win will last a season. Running for the love of it will last you a lifetime. And I think when you're starting out, and the gains are coming so quickly, and it is so exciting, and every race is a PR, and every long run is a distance PR, and it just seems smooth and like butter. That is a wonderful and exciting time, but when it gets hard, remember why you started. And I remember when I started being like, oh my gosh, this is when I stop thinking. This is when it quiets down. This is when I hear the Holy Spirit and my voice stops. And that's what I hold on to, even during the hard times, is I'm gonna go be still, know that someone else is God, know that someone else is in charge, and do something that quiets everything down. So find what it really does for you and hold on to that, and you'll be in this for a lifetime.
I like that.
Yeah, it's definitely a T-shirt quote. I love that. You know, I told someone this recently. I was speaking to a group about new first-timers and that. but I'll go back a second and say why I'm leading up to say this is the greatest gains I've made with running and walking is the people, is the relationships. You were talking about the relationships that we have, and this is a love fest. We have so much respect for you, and we love your efforts and your personality and your caring and kindness. But I met her through running. I've met all my best friends through running. I've had best friends from high school that I'm still friends with, none of whom run, so I keep them around. But the relationships I have are all through running. So while if I went out and talked to somebody about my running accomplishments, I did my math recently. I've been running for 40 years. That means I've run 10,000 times.
That's a lot of times.
And it came up the other day when I was getting ready to go for a run, and it was a group run, and I was nervous. I said to myself, why are you nervous? You've literally done this 10,000 times. This is 999 times you've done this, 9,999. Today is 10,000, and you still get nervous. Why? And I thought to myself, that's silly. But I also feel that what running has given me in this community are those just the most important people in my life. And yeah, it's a solo activity. And there's times I don't want to be around people. I want to go out and I just want to do a run. I want to just get the sweat on, get the enjoyment, do a fast time or go to a race. A lot of times you go to a race, maybe you don't know anybody there. You're there for yourself. But these relationships have been so important. And what I told the first timer group was, it is so hard, especially if you have somewhat of a quiet personality, you're an introvert, or you're new to it, and you come up to this group, and it seems like everybody knows each other, and they're all talking about, I ran this fast and that fast. It's like, gee, many Christmas. There's so much posing and all this stuff.
Yeah.
But if you just find the little inkling, the little kernel of strength to say hi to somebody, or just a lot of times I'll go to a group and I'm nervous and I don't know anybody, and I kind of tag along behind people, and I wait for someone to say something that I can maybe make a comment about. They'll say something like, oh, I'm going out to the Grand Canyon next week, and I got something I can say. Wow, tell me about that. Just to break the ice. And then, I can't tell you how many thousands of people I've met. Sometimes just one conversation, but it was a nice time. And I have dear friends that I've had for 40 years that I've met through this crazy activity. And it's just, and that's the part that's the value. That's the richness I have. The times have gone, and I have, the medals they tarnish or whatever, the t-shirts. They either get
the t-shirts tarnished.
Somehow they get smaller.
They don't get washed. They don't get washed in that broke old janky washing machine.
Exactly. And they develop holes or they get smaller, whatever the case is. But those friendships and that's what I would say to first timers is don't. It's great if you aspire to do something with the training, with the fitness, become fast, whatever. But don't forget about the people side of it, because that's where the true value comes from.
I kind of jokingly age us. The only way you learn what it feels like to be older, we are not old, we are older, is to actually go through it, right? And as we start transitioning into the people we used to look up to, there used to be, man, if I could run like them when I'm in my 50s, I'd be, oh, crap, are we those people now that the kids are looking at like, man, if I'm still doing that one. So, but one of the greatest things about having been around not just the running community, but the Columbus running community for this long is watching all of the up-and-comers. We've gotten to see now 3 generations of people to look up to, people to learn from, and new people bringing their energy and spirit in. And I look now, and there's you, and there's Tucker, and there's Hannah Stansel over at Fleet Feet, who's leading MIT. There's some of the coaches at Columbus Running Company. There's people within Run Columbus. There are new faces, new voices, new stories coming up every single day and taking that spotlight and sharing it. And that's exciting. And we're so grateful to still be here. But when we're not, knowing where this community is headed and whose hands we're going to be leaving it in, our part of it in, is a really gratifying and humbling thing.
I remember the old timers. I mean, we would be out there. We were young like you, and we would see guys and women out on the trail, out on the Olentangy. When the Olentangy used to stop, I remember when it went from OSU, it would get up to the first bridge there over the river. That was it. It didn't even connect from there up to Como Park and all that stuff into Clintonville.
It didn't used to go all the way to Worthington Hills.
It definitely didn't go all the way to Worthington Hills. And when it did, it was this tiny little section I was pointing out to you one time. It was so.
It stopped
but
pretty
it was
much
the people
at the
too.
tennis courts.
We would see there was all these different people. There was Black Dog guy.
Yep.
The guy who ran with his black dog. There was One Finger Wave guy.
There was Cookie and Ralph.
Cookie and Ralph. All
Ralph.
these people are out there.
Yep.
Now we're them.
We're not Cookie and Ralph
No,
yet.
no,
And we're
but
not
it's-
John and Linda yet, who are the 70-year-old couple who live in our neighborhood who
that's amazing.
still run 5 miles each a day, and
But it's such a rewarding, and there's other activities I'm sure in life that that people have that same collegial relationships with others, but running is kind of a unique activity in that way. That I was out yesterday and it was warm and there were young guys going by in shorts and no shirts flying by, and there was people that were dressed, that were overdressed, that were walking, and I was doing some running and some walking, and we're all out there doing our thing and saying hi to each other. We all know we're suffering in the same heat of the day, and it's kind of that partnership there to play off of the theme today, that we're all partners in this experiment out here, and we're making it happen.
You are. There's something Say Anderson mentioned to me not too long ago, that we often we stand on the shoulders of those who came before us, and I think she even says for her daughter, the ceiling is her starting ground for her daughter. Like, her ceiling is her starting ground, and you guys have really established our ground. You guys have set the bar high and give us something to really shoot for, to keep this community going. And it goes without saying, you guys have laid so much groundwork for us. And that's what we have to keep. We have to continue that. And that's why, again,
that's why our shoes are so worn out. It's all the groundwork we've been
Yeah,
laying.
but I also argue that it has to be the people like you that are really energized and driven to be part of something bigger than you, that I don't consider us laying groundwork. I just consider us to be all holding each other up.
You were one of the coaches and developers of MIT. You were one of the first season coaches, but you weren't alone. There was Dan Leidy. There was Dale Crandall. Now, Dan Leidy's still running marathons and half marathons after a heart transplant, and now on the board of the marathon. Dale, I don't think, runs anymore. There was Renee Mangat and a couple other female coaches. But to your point, like, you were a ground layer, but you were doing it with a team. And as we all know, running fades for some. And so some of the flowers have wilted a little, and you're one of the ones that's still here. I guess so am I, to the extent that, I did that Badwater thing and the Western States thing and some big things that, people here don't necessarily do, although it's getting younger and faster and more popular. But
But you don't feel like you're doing anything groundbreaking or laying groundwork when you're doing it. You're just doing your thing.
But this conversation didn't even get into Cliff Bar and how we literally started the first national pace team, and for 17 years led their most successful grassroots marketing
Yeah,
program
but it
ever.
had to be
So-
receptive on their end to see these two crazy kids from Ohio
Right.
to
So
say,
with
let's
a
do
team.
that.
Right.
So with a team. But what I'm saying is, don't see, now you're seeing the marriage partnership here, where humility is important, but it doesn't mean not owning your
Right.
accomplishments.
Right.
there's a lot of people that watch you guys, and and that's what's so beautiful about who you guys are as people, because it's just you just doing your thing. But for those looking from the outside in, we see two superstars promoting running and getting involved. Not just, you guys aren't just directors. You guys are part of the community.
Yeah.
You guys are ingrained in the
And
community.
that's
You guys are
important to us.
encouraging the community. And that makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
I guarantee you, even when you said that quote, there was people listening to you who've never heard that. I've never heard that, speaking personally, and have taken that with them. I've passed, and that's the thing, like I've passed that to other runners. You know, I heard Darris say, you know, you'll never go out and regret a run. And I had one of my athletes come back and tell me the same thing. You know what? I'm glad I did it. I didn't want to, but I did it. And that's the beauty of you first being just good people, but then the groundwork when it just seems so natural. You guys have already plowed. It's just part of your routine of plowing.
Thank you.
And we see that. The community sees that. So.
Wow.
Well, we'll have to go home and cry after
Yeah, I can't
after
believe-
we figure out what's for dinner and overload the washing machine again. Then
Yeah.
we'll have a good communal cry.
I just can't believe I didn't cry already. I'm a huge crier. The marathon team actually every year they take bets in the back of the room if I'm speaking about when is he gonna start crying. I'm very emotional, but actually it did lead me to one other thought about a quote, and I'm very proud. I know I'm proud of the one about the one that you cited where. Now I just forgot my quote. What was the quote?
Uh-oh.
No, the one. No, your quote.
The one about the shoulders?
No, the one that you said you sometimes quote.
You'll never regret a
Yeah,
run?
you never regret a
Never
run.
run. Yes, that one.
No, but the other quote was a friend of ours. There used to be a group of us that ran. They still run, but we just we would run together. And it was the quote that I came up with was, "It doesn't always get harder."
Oh yeah, worse. It was that it doesn't always get worse.
Because so many times we're like, oh, I'm struggling so bad, and I just want to walk. I want to quit. Where can I stop? But it doesn't always get worse. Sometimes it stays bad.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have to get worse. So don't ever measure. The other quote I love is actually, this was a T-shirt. I bought this at the Grandma's Marathon. Great T-shirt. I don't know what happened to it, but it was, "The first mile is a liar." And that can be either way.
Yeah.
You can either feel really good,
Really good.
and then mile 2 of the 5K falls apart, or you can feel terrible, and mile 2 can feel fantastic. So the first mile is a liar. Don't trust it. Just do your thing. Get out there and just relax and ramp up into it. So, yeah, it means a ton. First of all, thank you for the opportunity to talk and share. We feel so blessed. We say this every night when we have dinner. We have prayers about people, about things, about what's going on at the
We
time.
talk about people, but we get away with it because we say
no,
God.
we pray for people.
I'm kidding.
We pray for them.
I'm kidding.
Like, help them. But it also, we know, we've been given an opportunity, and we don't consider it to be a right. It is a privilege, and it's an honor that we respect for what others who've gone before us and those who are with us now, that we want to, just like the marathon, and we talk about this. It's not, people say, oh, I'm doing your race. I always correct them. It's our race. And we've been handed this legacy. It's our responsibility to be stewards, to take care of it.
We're custodians for a time.
That's all we are.
It does
And the
not
people
belong
who
to
were
us.
in my seat before and Star's seat before, they took that from someone else. And you just, at the end of the day, you want to just leave something better than you found it.
Yep.
And, we could go on and on about those things that we have accomplished, particularly with that partnership, there's that word again, of the hospital, and how we've been able to turn this event into an important community event, not a running and walking event in and of itself.
Yeah.
And that, to me, that's where the greatest pride comes from me. And the hospital, the legacy that I shared with them in the past, that I would do, if I were a hospital employee or administrator, this is what I would say in my advertising, is we're accomplishing our job, which is to turn children into adults. That's their whole goal. And I'm so proud that they do that. And it came up because our children's champions, those kids that we honor each year, 2012 was our first year. And some of them are adults now. They're literally, they're 23, 24. They're one of the first girl who was ever named a champion. She's I think kindergarten or first grade teacher. that just like blows my mind, but that's actually what's supposed to happen, you know? So, you know, we're all here to just make a difference, and in our case of helping runners and walkers and being part of it, we just don't see it as any different than being out there side by side with people, because that's what I would want.
I love that.
Yeah. Thank you.
No, thank you guys.